The one thing that I care about more than anything else is the right to die. I think if somebody doesn't want to be alive, they should be able to end their life anytime they want to, as peacefully as possible. They should have the option to get euthanized by a doctor if they prefer, or they should be able to do it in the comfort of their own home if that is their preference. I think the peaceful pills to end somebody's life should be over the counter at the pharmacy. With one exception being that you have to show your ID to prove you're old enough to smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol. Because the way I see it, if you're old enough to destroy your health over years or decades with alcohol and cigarettes, then you are old enough to end your life much more quickly in a peaceful way with the peaceful pill. Now, I do have a copy of the Peaceful Pill Handbook that I'm not supposed to have, and I'm okay with that. I think everybody should have access to it, as long as they're an adult. It's that simple. You shouldn't have to be over 50 or whatever. You shouldn't have to be dying of cancer or whatever. If you don't want to be alive, you don't want to be alive. You should be able to get the peaceful pill anytime you want. People who are against this are just forced life oppressors. And they disgust me. They are pieces of garbage, and I hate them. The way I see it, checkout prevention is just another form of slavery. It's forced life slavery. And I am completely against it. I don't know how to make euthanasia legal. I don't know how to make the peaceful pill available in every pharmacy over the counter. I don't know how to do that. But if there was ever a way to make it happen, I would be overjoyed at the news. Because if it was like that, I would go buy the peaceful pills at the pharmacy. You know, just hand in my ID, they scan it, and I walk out the door with the peaceful way of ending my life. Now, I'm not saying that I have a plan. I'm not going to, do it the violent way right away or anything like that. No. I want to stay and fight for the right to die because it's something worth fighting for. I would like to fight for it peacefully if possible, but I understand that if it's not possible, violence may be a necessary step. Just to use an example, sometimes violence really is necessary and peaceful protest isn't going to get you anywhere. In the case of World War II and stopping the Holocaust, that required war. Literal war. And you know what? I am willing to fight in a war for the right to die peacefully. Part of me is against forcing death on other people, but at the same time, I think our forced life oppressors deserve to die the horrible way. That's why I want to fight a war against them. I just don't know who the oppressors are, other than people who call themselves pro-life. Because at the end of the day, being pro-life means you are pro-suffering. And if you are pro-suffering, you are a piece of garbage, and I hate you. I could very easily forgive the actions of natalist breeders if we lived in a society that respected the right to die, respected the right for someone to choose whether or not they live or die for themselves, And if we lived in a society that let people have their own funerals while they are still alive, I think if somebody wants to, they should be able to lay in their own casket while they're alive just to see if it's comfortable or not. They should be able to pick out their own casket or their own cremation urn, you know? Pick that stuff out for yourself. I think people should be able to do that. And once they've done it, they should be able to take the peaceful pill anytime they damn well please. They should be able to take it during the funeral if they want, while they're laying in the casket. They should be able to take it in the peaceful comfort of their own home, and then get cremated later. And if somebody prefers to be euthanized by a doctor in a medical setting, that should be available too. Should be available to everybody. Now, lately, I've been playing this campaign in Medieval 2 Total War, where I pretend that the priests are euthanasia doctors, and my armies are fighting for the right to die. They are fighting for the right to choose non-existence for oneself. And I will continue making videos for that, if people genuinely enjoy it. But that's probably going to be the only case to continue the series of videos I've been making of this video game. Medieval 2 really is a fun game in general, but I like it even more when I get to pretend that my priests are euthanasia doctors. Because at the end of the day, they should be euthanasia doctors. Churches are just brainwashing camps, and as far as I'm concerned, there should be no churches at all. No mosques, no synagogues, none of that garbage. We should have euthanasia clinics instead. Because at the end of the day, religious leaders are just lying pieces of garbage. They may believe their own lies in some case, but they are still lying to people. They are lying to themselves if they believe it. They are lying pieces of garbage. That is what religious leaders are, and they should be replaced with euthanasia doctors. Just like in my Medieval 2 campaign. Right now I'm snacking on popcorn and I'm drinking this new alcoholic drink that I wanted to try at the gas station. It's actually giving me a really nice buzz. It's called Voodoo Ranger Imperial IPA. Sure is good. But the buzz I get from it is even better. Some people think that euthanizing people who want to die is murder, but I don't see it that way. The way I see it is, murder is when you take someone's life away from them by force, against their will, except in cases where they clearly deserve it. And how you decide who deserves to die the horrible way is going to be subjective to every person. But I think the forced life oppressors, the people who are against the right to die peacefully, are the ones who should be killed violently because they clearly deserve it. They are forced life oppressors and nothing more. They are against legalizing euthanasia. These people are against legalizing the peaceful pill and making it available over the counter in the pharmacy like it should be. They call themselves pro-life, and a lot of them are religious, but at the end of the day, they're full of shit. Nobody should have the right to tell me that I have to stay alive. Nobody should have the right to force me to stay alive or guilt trip me into staying alive. If I want to exit this life the peaceful way, I should be able to do it anytime I want to without having to get some illegal drug from a drug dealer. I don't know how to make this stuff legal, and I wish I did. But I have this fear, I guess you could say, that violence against our forced life oppressors is the only solution I can think of. Now, I'm not planning to do anything violent against anybody else. It's just that I think violence may be the only solution to this problem. I don't know what level of violence it'll take, but I think some violence is necessary to fight for human rights. There are other things that I care about other than the right to die. The right to die may be number one, but number two is probably veganism. Because I think people who are not vegan seriously lack empathy for animals, and I can't stand them either. The third thing is antinatalism. You know, I will always be an antinatalist until the right to die becomes legalized in the way that I want it to be. Because people who procreate are forcing people into this life. And if those people don't have the right to say, I don't want this, I don't want to be in this world, let me leave. If they don't have the right to do that, then this life is a prison sentence. Just like Dead MF says on The Prison Called Life. If you don't have the right to leave this world anytime you want to, then life is a prison sentence. A prison sentence that was forced on us by some severely selfish, horny pieces of garbage. And what I'm talking about there are people who procreate. I'm talking about natalists who are against the right to die. If you are a breeder, a natalist, a procreator, and if you are also against the right to die, then you are a forced life enslaver. You are garbage, and I hate you with the deepest hatred I could possibly have, with the only exception being that I hate God even more than you. That is the only exception. I am going to reject God to his face. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I will reject God to his face, whether he's just a demiurge or not. I realize I'm probably just screaming into the void here. I don't know if anybody's going to care about what I have to say, but what I have to say is very important, I think. And I realize I've said some of this stuff before, but maybe not in the exact same words that I'm using now. I don't really know what else to say at this point, so I'm probably just going to record some motocross madness footage again, slap it on top of this video, and away we go. Hopefully somebody out there feels understood when they watch this. And I hope somebody out there realizes that they are not alone in their desire to not exist anymore. I have that too. And while there may be times in my life where I feel good, even in the present, There may even be days where I do want to live still. And right now I kind of do. But doesn't mean that I'm automatically against the right to die. Just because in the present I am enjoying life a little bit doesn't automatically mean that I have become a forced life oppressor. I never will do that. I will never become that. And that's all I can think of to say for right now. I'm probably going to end this video here, I think. And I hope somebody who watches this at least feels understood, you know. I also wanted to give a shout out to some of my favorite channels on YouTube right now. Obviously, The Prison Called Life is one of my favorites. Benedictine's The Truth is one of my favorites. And it always will be. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but Mark Munspilli. He used to be called Mark Antinatalist, but he changed his name a while back. And his channel is one of my favorites. I've enjoyed his angry rants, and I agree with him in a lot of things. I also want to give a shout out to Antonio96. He used to be called Life is Overrated 96, but he changed the name of his channel. He deleted a lot of his videos, and while I understand that he has his own personal reasons for doing so, I do miss his rant videos. They were really good. They were from the heart, they were honest, and I agreed with a lot of what he had to say. And another, probably my ultimate favorite channel on YouTube of all time is called The Right to No Longer Exist. As far as I'm concerned, it is the greatest podcast that has ever existed in the history of the world. And I am not exaggerating. I mean that with every fiber of my being. And while it is unfortunate that there have not been any new episodes, I'm also okay with it because I understand that Kevin, the guy that originally started the podcast with Danny, has been through a lot and he's kind of on his own now. So I understand it takes a lot to run a podcast when you're doing it by yourself. And that's probably why he doesn't do it anymore. He's retired as far as I'm concerned, and I'm okay with that. You know, if he wants to retire, good. You know, I hope that his life, whatever's left of it, goes well for him. I think Kevin is a great guy. I'm sorry for the hell he's been through. But all I know is that he created the greatest podcast in the history of the world, and I am not exaggerating when I say that. The Right to No Longer Exist is the greatest podcast I have ever listened to. And I've listened to some good ones here and there. But this is the best one of all. I guess I had more to say than what I thought. But I'm probably going to end the video here. This may require a lot of Motocross Madness clips. At least a few, 2 or 3 racetracks worth. But I am going to upload this. I am going to share this. I am going to scream into the void and just tell people what I think, what I know, what I have to say. And I think I'm going to end the video here. If you liked it, thank you for watching.